The CEO of an electric vehicle company could be facing some serious time in a federal prison. All that glitters ain't gold, people. Just because it's an exciting technology, or your friends are talking about it, or you heard about it on some financial news channel, or here on YouTube, doesn't mean that it's a viable investment. And we're going to talk about how this former electric vehicle CEO is he's in some real legal trouble. Former Nikola CEO Milton charged with 3 counts of fraud by DOJ. SEC files parallel charges. Now, this whole event has a big time cautionary tale for you as an investor, okay? And we're going to get to that by the end of the video. Make sure you watch this whole thing because this is an extremely important story. It looks as though former Nikola CEO Trevor Milton has rolled downhill face first into reality this morning. That's because multiple sources are reporting that the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan is charging Milton in connection with their investigations into allegations of fraud and for making false and misleading statements to investors. This is according to Tom Winter of CNBC. Now, I want to be very careful here because I believe in the presumption of innocence. The government has to prove this, all right? And until they do, Trevor Milton, he's innocent. But we're going to go through what the government is alleging. And also, again, we're going to learn how, no matter what happens with the outcome of this trial, we're going to see how it contains a cautionary tale for you as an investor. CNBC has reported that Milton has been charged with 3 counts of fraud and making false claims regarding nearly all aspects of the business. Now, if that allegation is true, it is very disappointing because it means that investors were misled about all things concerning Nikola. Prosecutors say that when Milton unveiled their tractor trailer, Nikola's tractor trailer, it had to be plugged into the wall. The headlamps were activated by remote by a staffer, and air had to be pumped in because there was a slow leak in the air lines of the truck. Now, that last one, I'm going to give them a pass on. We used to own a tractor trailer company. They're notoriously difficult to maintain, and stuff like that happens with that airline. So, of course, someone would have caught that, a competent driver would have caught that. That thing would have never been allowed to go out on a public road with a problem like that. So, we're going to give them a pass on that one. But that is what is being alleged. That's what's being alleged by the DOJ. And they also go on to say that in the Super Bowl ad that featured the Nikola truck, this ad was jury-rigged. So they put the truck on an incline, released the brakes, and momentum carried it downhill, giving viewers an impression that the thing was operating under its own power. Now, earlier we talked about the fact that it was plugged into the wall. Now, we all know that if that is the case, we all know that this company was not planning on selling these trucks with 3,000-mile extension cords, so that would have been very misleading if they did that. An SEC complaint filed this morning also revealed that footage of the truck in that Super Bowl ad had been sped up 2 to 3 times to give the impression that the truck was capable of moving at a speed, obviously, faster than it really could. Okay, so, they got to prove that, but if they do, that's pretty damaging. Now, Phil LeBeau says federal charges will be filed today. And that would have been yesterday, depending on when you see this video. Thursday, the 29th of July is today's date. Now, that's the DOJ. The SEC came, and they've also filed charges that Trevor Milton engaged in a fraudulent scheme to deceive retail investors about Nikola's products, technical advancements, and commercial prospects for his own personal benefit in violation of federal securities law. The complaint alleges that Milton did so primarily by leveraging his social media presence and frequent appearances on television and podcasts to flood the market with false and misleading information about Tesla. So, I'm sorry, about Nikola. I made that mistake because the guy's name was Nikola Tesla. Tesla has absolutely nothing to do with this, okay? Tesla's got cars on the road that you see all day, every day. They're a real company. Nikola is the company with the problem. The complaint says Milton repeatedly made false and misleading statements about core aspects of Nikola's products, technological advancements, and commercial process. Okay, and they're going to break these charges down, these false statements that they're alleging. They're saying that he falsely claimed that Nikola's first semi-truck prototype, the Nikola 1, could be driven under its own power, and using a misleading video to create the false impression that Nikola 1 was, in fact, driving under its own power. Another one is falsely claiming that Nikola was producing hydrogen, that it was doing so at a cost that was 4 times less than the prevailing market rates, and that it had obtained electricity at cost that made hydrogen production profitable. He was making allegations and saying that he had cracked the code on hydrogen. That would have been huge. That would have been a game changer. Falsely claiming that Nikola had significantly developed or already completed a prototype of an electric pickup truck, the Badger, and that this vehicle used primarily Nikola's proprietary components. So they've got a few more on here. This one, falsely claiming that Nikola had obtained billions and billions and billions and billions, that's a quote, of dollars of committed truck orders. Billions and billions and billions and billions? That's a tall order. Will everybody in the world order one of these trucks? Falsely claiming that Nikola had developed a game-changing battery technology and that Nikola was manufacturing and developing multiple key components in-house. Okay, so we'll see what he's able to do. They also say that he was just overhyping the stock. This one's a little specious to me. On days when Nikola's stock price declined, Milton regularly attempted to direct Nikola senior executives to take actions to stop the price decline. Senior executives received frantic phone calls or text messages from Milton on such days in which he urged the executives to, quote, do something. Milton also spoke of needing to put out good news or some kind of announcement to get people excited as a way to counteract price declines and maintain support for the stock price. Now, I don't disagree with people putting out good news about their company, but the good news has to match reality. It can't be false news trying to hype the stock price. So to the extent that the DOJ and the SEC can prove that news that was put out was false, then Milton is in big trouble. Okay, so what's the lesson here that you need to internalize as an investor? Someone looking at all of these opportunities that are out there popping up in terms of us being able to, really change the paradigm on energy production and use. Well, listen at this line. The senior executive responded, in part, by expressing his amazement at how many calls he received, quote, from retail investors today that have no clue about Nikola, other than their friends told them to buy. A lot of hype out there with retail investors, unquote. To which Milton replied, that's how you build a foundation. Love it. Now, I don't necessarily see anything nefarious in him saying that's how you build a foundation. Love it. Unless these charges are proved and he knew all of this was built on falsehoods, in which case it makes that statement extremely nefarious. But the lesson here for you is, just because your friends are talking about it, just because, you saw it in a Super Bowl ad, doesn't mean that it's a viable investment. Now, could you have prevented yourself from getting caught up in Nikola? Maybe not, because they did put false information out there. And if you trusted this company, then, of course, you went with what they said, okay? It would be the same as if, a large, well-respected company just started putting out false information. And you see it coming from them, so you trust them. And you make investment decisions based on that. That's why these allegations are true. Milton has to be crushed and put away for a while to send a message to other CEOs that might want to follow this same type of path. But it can never hurt for you to just look at the situation. And also, here's a big aspect of this. There's nothing wrong with waiting until you see a product being sold, until you see it on the street. As I said before, Tesla, you know it's a viable company because when you go to the grocery store, there are several in the parking lot. People are driving them. You see them on the road. So the first hurdle, do they have an actual product? That is answered for you by what you see. You don't have to rely on Tesla's balance sheet or any news coming from them to inform you that, yeah, there's a car. I'm at the stoplight. Here's a Tesla. No extension cords. It's powering itself. It's good to go. Okay. So seeing an actual product, using an actual product, okay, that is a big time step one into whether or not the company's viable. Other than that, it's all hype until they do something. What have you actually done lately? All right. So don't believe the hype. I'll talk to you guys soon.